Think you've already seen everything between Nice, Eze and Monaco? Well, so did we. Whether it's your first time dreaming of the French Riviera or you've walked these streets for years, today we're going way beyond the postcards. We're following our guide Chris from Nice up to the hilltop village of Eze and into the heart of Monaco, where history meets towering high-rises and world-class luxury. Chris is showing us sides of the Riviera tourists usually miss, the backstairs routes, the untold stories, and viewpoints that aren't on the maps. By the end of this trip, we bet you'll see these iconic spots in a whole new light. Let's take a quick look at the route. We're starting in Nice and heading straight toward the cliffs of Eze Village, hitting some stunning viewpoints along the way. After a walk through the medieval lanes of Eze, Chris usually offers his guests a detour to Menton. We're skipping the Lemon City today, but if you're curious, check out our dedicated Menton video to see if you want to add it to your own trip. For us, it's full steam ahead to Monaco, where we'll have plenty of time to explore before chasing the sunset back to Nice. We're already in the car with Chris. We met back in Nice, where he usually picks up his guests right at their hotel. And get this, we started at 8 a.m. It sounds early, but there's a very good reason for it, as you're about to see. We've barely left the city center and started winding our way up Montbouron, but it's already time for a first break. Chris is already slipping into full guide mode.
You can see the snowy mountains, and this is how French Riviera looks like for almost 5 to 6 months.
We'll leave the snowy peaks for another day, because the real reason we're stopping here is something else entirely. Just look at that! Below us, Nice opens up. You can see the port, the greenery of Castle Hill, and the entire Promenade des Anglais stretching all the way to the airport. On the horizon, way past the runways, you can even spot the peaks of the red Estirel Massif. Now back to the timing. We've got a tight schedule this morning because we want to be standing in front of Monaco's Princess Palace at exactly 11:55 a.m. for the changing of the guards. So it's back on the road. We're heading down from Montbouron toward the coast onto the Basse Corniche. Honestly, this morning light is just incredible. We're passing through Villefranche-sur-Mer and then, okay, one more quick stop. Wow, this view never gets old. This is the Rade de Villefranche. To the right is the picture-perfect village of Villefranche-sur-Mer we just drove through. To the left, catching that gorgeous morning sun, is the peninsula of Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat. And right in front of us, sparkling blue water, a cruise ship, tiny sailboats, and a sandy beach right below us. And here's a little secret Chris shared. It's actually the closest sandy spot to Nice, so you don't have to drive all the way to Antibes to escape the pebbles. Plus, the train from Nice gets you right here in just a few minutes. Definitely a pro tip for your next visit. If you love tips like this, we've actually put all our local knowledge into a digital travel guide. It's a curated list of our 50 absolute favorite spots that will make you fall in love with the French Riviera, from hidden beaches to the best local restaurants. It's fully interactive with Google Maps links and, our favorite part, direct links to our videos so you can see each spot in action. Just scan the QR code to get to our website, grab your copy, and start planning. Now let's head up to Eze. The last few kilometers to one of the most beautiful villages on the Riviera go by fast, and the scenery just keeps getting more spectacular. Chris handles these winding roads like a pro, which you'll already know if you've been following us for a while. Remember when he took us through the Gorge du Verdon last summer? If you saw that video, you know Chris always finds the best spots, so we're making one more quick stop just below the village. I mean, look at that. Can you believe how Eze is literally clinging to that rock behind us? By the way, there's a reason why Chris likes to start so early, preferably on weekends. It's the only way to beat the crowds and snag a parking spot in Eze without the headache. Alright, let's do this. It's a bit of a climb from here.
So now you can see why is it worth to come here both in the early morning and on the weekends, because this place is really calm and empty and you can really enjoy the atmosphere and take the best pictures without the crowds behind.
Exactly. Let's wander through these picture-perfect alleys and do exactly what Chris suggested. Taking our time, soaking up the atmosphere, and catching those perfect shots before the day really starts. At the very top of the village, we reach the exotic garden, the absolute highlight of Eze. You simply cannot miss this. Walking through these winding paths feels like being suspended between the sky and the Mediterranean. Back in the late 1940s, they transformed these castle ruins into a sanctuary for hundreds of exotic plants. But honestly, it's the earth goddess sculptures and that 360-degree view that always take our breath away. As much as we'd love to stay, we have to make our way back to the car. The changing of the guards in Monaco won't wait for us. Of course, we still have a few minutes to admire the details. If you keep your eyes open while walking through Eze, you'll constantly find the sweetest corners and most charming hidden angles. And just like Chris warned us, it's definitely getting busier now, even though we're filming this in late February, the absolute off-season. You might have heard of the famous Nietzsche path that starts at the foot of the village and leads all the way down to the sea. It's a stunning hike, but not for us today. Monaco is calling. It's a pretty short drive from here to the Principality. But first, we're passing through La Turbie with its massive Roman trophy, the Trophée d'Auguste. And then there's another specific lookout that Chris always includes in his tours, the view from the Mayborn Riviera Hotel. Just look at that. You're perched right above the concrete canyons of the city. It's a breathtaking perspective, and your Instagram feed will definitely thank you for this stop. Our next goal is the Rock on the far side of Monaco. It's just after 10:30 now, plenty of time to make it before noon. The road takes us through the town of Beau Soleil, which literally means beautiful sun. And believe it or not, despite all our visits, we never noticed the little suns decorating the streets here until Chris pointed them out. It's those tiny details that make a guided tour worth it. And it's 11:10. We've got 45 minutes to go. We've parked in the Parking des Pêcheurs, a massive car park built right into the cliffside. Now we just have to find our way up to the daylight. Et voila, welcome to Monaco, specifically the Old Town, perched on the legendary rock that's also home to the world-famous Oceanographic Museum. We're heading straight for the palace, which is only a few minutes away on foot, but just a scenic detour through the Saint-Martin Gardens. Chris knows the history of every corner here. From the iconic Grace Kelly to Prince Albert I, the navigator prince, who's been looking out over the sea from the spot for exactly 75 years. But the clock is ticking. We need to reach the palace square, so we're slipping in through the back door, passing the cathedral and the view over Fontvieille Harbor via this hidden little walkway. One more turn, past a crazy little souvenir shop, and there it is, the Prince's Palace. It's 11:46, and we're definitely not the only ones here. And just a reminder, this is February. Makes you wonder what the crowds look like in July. Okay, where's the best spot? It's getting more crowded by the minute. The tension is building. You can see the guards in their little booth getting into position. And here we go. And just 7 minutes later, the whole spectacle is over.
My guests can have some time for themselves.
But we're sticking with Chris as he leads us into the old town. It's tiny, but super cute, and packed with shops. Chris actually points out a side street where the souvenirs are surprisingly affordable. Anya picks up a new pair of sunglasses, as usual, and we both grab a t-shirt that you'll definitely see in our next Monaco video. The cathedral is definitely worth a detour while you're here. If you head inside, keep an eye out for the tombs of the late royals, including Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier. We're strolling back toward the Palace Square now, because we still owe you that iconic view over Monaco's main harbor. I mean, what do you think? Not bad, right? It's just after 12:30 now. Likely the time pressure is officially gone for the rest of the day, but we are starting to get hungry. A quick wave to the pirate who first seized the Rock of Monaco, and then it's time to head down toward the port. Chris promised us lunch at his favorite local Italian spot, and we're holding him to it. This area is just lovely. You've got the mountains on one side and the harbor on the other. And this brasserie is a great find. You can usually snag a table even without a reservation. Since it's still a bit chilly in the shade, we're taking a seat inside. The service here is lightning fast. And it's solid Italian cooking at fair prices. And the dessert, delicious. We only wanted a hint of something sweet, so we're splitting the tiramisu 3 ways. A quick espresso to finish, and we're back on the move. If you're starting to feel like you want to put yourself in Chris's capable hands for a day of stress-free sightseeing, definitely check out his tours. Just scan this QR code to see what he offers. Now we're excited for the casino, but there's plenty to see on the way. For example, this ice rink. In the winter, they build it right over the harbor swimming pool. And now car lovers pay attention. Right below the pool/ice rink area is the Prince's private car collection. It's a timeline of automotive history right here at the port. You'll find over 100 stunning vehicles, including really old ones, and even the specially designed cars used for Monaco's royal weddings. We've visited before, so we're skipping it today. But if you have an hour to spare, we highly recommend it. The street right above the museum is actually the starting line for the annual Formula 1 Grand Prix.
If you are wondering where exactly is the track, let's call it the track, you can recognize it by this kind of spots. It means ACM.
The club's headquarters is right across the street, which is easy to spot by the fancy cars parked out front. And somehow Chris is hungry again. Or let's say he has a craving for ice cream. This spot just a few steps away is incredible. They have a wild selection of flavors and, believe it or not, normal Riviera prices. No Monaco markup here. As we walk, we get a quick history lesson on Monaco's patron saint, Sainte Devote, and the charming little church dedicated to her in the background. Now we're heading through an underpass back to the water for some serious yacht watching. The exclusive yacht club itself is designed to look like a massive cruise ship. You can only go inside if you're a member or invited by one. Way out at the end of the quay, we've spotted a true giant. Chris immediately looks up the specs. This is the Yaz. She's 141 meters long, worth about $200 million, and belongs to a chic. Next up, we're hopping into one of Monaco's countless public elevators to head up toward the casino. But not before Chris reveals one of his best-kept secrets, Monaco's cheapest espresso. 60 cents, no joke. It just goes to show you just need to know where to look. Once we reach the top, it's time to wander again. The terraces behind the Opera House and the casino offer some of the most stunning viewpoints in the Principality. That massive white building you see now is part of Terra, the brand new district built entirely on reclaimed land from the sea. It's currently supposedly the most expensive neighborhood in the world. If you want to know all about it, we've linked our full video on it in the info card popping up in the top right corner of your screen right now. We're leaving the luxury apartments behind for a moment because Chris wants to show us the most famous corner in Formula 1, the Fairmont Hairpin. The race cars basically pull a U-turn here. Day in and day out, you'll find car fans lined up to watch Monaco's insane supercars treat this corner like a catwalk, crawling past to make sure everyone gets a look before finally hitting the gas. We've been looking forward to this for days, stepping inside the world-famous Monte-Carlo casino. We take a quick detour toward the casino gardens, marveling at the supercars parked nearby, and Chris's sudden superpowers. I mean, look at him. We find ourselves in a literal jungle right in the heart of the principality, before finally taking in the view of the casino itself. The sun has unfortunately dipped behind the buildings by now, and if you look closely, the facade is actually under renovation. That's just a very convincing printed canvas you're seeing. But we're here to play. Even the entrance hall reveals the sheer opulence of the building. It was designed by Charles Garnier, the same mastermind behind the Paris Opera House, and you can really feel that theatrical grandeur the moment you step inside. Wait, what's happening? Why are we walking back out? Believe it or not, they changed the rules just 2 weeks before our shoot. You can no longer enter the actual casino for free, not even the slot machine area. To be honest, dropping 20 euros each just to put one bet on red at the roulette table, we just weren't feeling it. A bit of a letdown, maybe, but Chris has one last highlight up his sleeve to make up for it. Back at the harbor, we're catching the little solar-powered shuttle boat. For just 2 euros a person, it whisks us across the water to the other side, right where Chris's car has been waiting in the parking garage since this morning. The boat runs every 20 minutes, and as we enjoy these last peaceful moments on the water, it hits us. Chris was totally right about coming here on a weekend. It's so much calmer. The very last thing Chris shows us before we head back to Nice? Monaco's prison. It's perched right on the cliffs. At least the inmates have a world-class view while they serve their time. What a day! We've seen these places so many times, but having Chris with us truly changed the perspective. If you're planning your own trip, check out the links in the description for our PDF guide and Chris's tours. Thanks for coming along. See you in the next one. Au revoir.